Hello and welcome to Born Complete the Stories. This podcast is all about the stories that shape us, the messy ones, the meaningful ones, and the ones we're still learning from. This is a space for honest conversations about growth, healing, identity, and becoming. A deep reminder that we do not have to have it all figured out. We can simply show up just as we are. My name is Gemma, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about feeling lost and kind of navigating starting over. And this is a very controversial topic because I know it comes with a lot of heavy emotions, but this is kind of how I navigated starting over and over again. But here we are. And I try my best to keep what I talk about as relevant to my current life as possible because I feel like when you're going through the motions and you're learning how to navigate these new experiences, it's always really cool to get to talk about it almost like when I say in real life, I just mean like it's happening now. And it's cool to be able to talk about it and reflect and process it, etc. Anyways, you know those like turning points in your life where you're like sitting there, usually alone, even in a crowded room, and you're like, what is my life? And what am I doing? And who am I? And what purpose do I serve? And where do I go from here? Like, you're basically in the dark tunnel, and it's very hard to see the light. Very hard. And I don't even mean that in a poetic way, but like sometimes when you get to those like turning points in your life, you feel very stuck and stagnant. And I've experienced that so many times in my life. I used to resent the feeling of being lost and the feeling of starting all over again. Like, I absolutely hated it because usually that meant that it came with a lot of change, and your girl doesn't like change at all. At all. Anyways, I've kind of grown to accept it and make a lot of peace with it, which I'm really grateful for. And I kind of just wanted to share that with you because it's so important how one change of thought pattern and mindset and perspective can really change the outlook on certain things. And I feel like the feeling of starting over and being lost and feel like you're going nowhere is something we can all relate to at certain times of our lives. Basically, how I've learned to navigate it is just, first of all, acknowledging the place that you are currently in, acknowledging all the feelings that come with it, and just sitting in it for a little while. And not to the point where it's overly destructive or where you're beating yourself down. It is inevitable that in those times you're going to lean towards that, but it's really important to sit in a place of allowing yourself or giving yourself the grace to feel everything you're feeling right now, because it is for a purpose. You are feeling lost on purpose, which sounds really bizarre, but hear me out. Every time I got to this point in the past, I just remember feeling like that was it, like I have no purpose. Where am I going from here? What do I actually do? I honestly was in so many bad slumps time and time again, just trying to figure out how to navigate life, and knowing that with feeling lost comes a new chapter, but how to navigate that and how to even align with that chapter in your life. And it's just a whole confusing thing until a very special person in my life told me feeling lost is what people are so afraid of and so against, but the feeling of being lost allows you to completely recreate and transform your life in the best possible way. And it's almost like that stepping stone that tells you, okay, this chapter has passed. These experiences that you had replayed and replayed and replayed, this trauma, this heartache, this sadness, this anger, it's like a moment that tells you we need to take a second to process it, to work through it, to allow ourselves to feel, allow ourselves to express it, and then allow ourselves to let go of all of that. Because when you go through a lot in like a certain chapter of your life and you're sitting with all that heaviness, all that emotion, the feeling of being lost calls us to be able to work through it and let it go and free ourselves from it so that we can align with this next chapter of our lives. And once I ingrained that in my head, every single time I started over, I just, in a really weird way, enjoyed the process so much more. It's uncomfortable, for sure. It's scary. It's the unknown. That's the thing. That's what we're most afraid of, is the fact that we're not in control and we don't know what's going on and we don't know where to go from here. But it is such a blessing, because in that space of discomfort and in that space of just not knowing, we get to like we get to recreate, we get to learn, we get to explore different parts of ourselves in a way that brings us to more wholeness. And I've just found that the less resistance you create to the feeling of starting over or being lost and all of that, smoother the process actually becomes and the quicker you move through it. And specifically now, I have so many family members, so many friends, me myself included, okay, in a season of so much change, in a season of stepping like out of our comfort zone, stepping into the unknown, just not like being directed into places we don't even know how to align with yet, and directed to versions of ourselves that we don't even know yet. And I've tried to really ground myself in this time, because number one, I'm not the only one going through it. So it's obviously just something in the air right now. But I keep reminding everyone, which is something that I say to also remind myself, is you are not starting from zero, you are starting with new experience. And starting over is freaking difficult. Like, it humbles you in ways that you can't even imagine. Just when you feel like you've got it all together and things are going well, and something swoops in and changes the whole thing, it's a very humbling experience to just take it and accept it and know that it's working for you and not against you. However, the more you trust in that process, the more freedom you find in yourself and the more beautiful the transformation will be. Because as there is every single time change happens, and every single time we are stepping into a new chapter with new direction, we all have those moments that click, those epiphanies that say, oh, okay, now I get why this happened to me. And oh, I'm actually grateful this thing didn't work out. And oh, like this actually like worked out for the best. So if we know we've had all those moments, then why don't we just take that and kind of reset and rewire the way that we think, in the sense of, when we are going through a time where it feels uncomfortable and it feels like very unsettling, and you're in a space of feeling really anxious and all of that, it's amazing to be able to ground oneself in saying, I know there's going to be a moment where this all makes sense, and somehow I just have to learn to be comfortable in the discomfort, like learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable and feeling this way, because I trust in the divine guidance that it is going to take me to the right place and turn me into the version of myself I need to become. And I think that's so beautiful. And trust me when I say, I do not sit in this space the whole time. There have been many moments where I just question things over and over and over again, and I fall right down into that slump. I fall into that depression. I question myself. I question my worth. I question everything. It is literally a lifelong process of just learning to rewire the way that you think. But what I will say is, it does get easier. Even though I'm not perfect in those moments now, I'm doing a lot better than I was when I had to restart a year or two ago. I don't know. I just find it so beautiful. Didn't get the job, okay, a better one's coming. This changed, okay, it's for a purpose. Maybe you were stagnant in the energy that didn't align with you anymore, in something that was setting you back so far, and you are being divinely guided into something that will make you flourish and help you accomplish certain goals and purpose and whatever. And how I like to think of it, especially in context to what I do, you know, starting a new business and like just doing a lot of freelance work on the side as well. There have been like career changes in my life that I never thought would happen. Honestly, I had a pretty clear idea in my head of how things would go, and they're not going that way. But I realized, okay, maybe I'm getting this opportunity now. Maybe it's at my doorstep, because I have been stagnant in the feeling that I've had for too long, which is pretty much just, you know, struggling a lot with work-life balance and trying to always be better, trying to do more, not feeling good enough at times, and maybe I need this opportunity to grow and get more experience and become more confident in my skills and in my career, that I can go into opportunities in my business to with a better understanding, with stronger boundaries, with more confidence. Like, there's literally a purpose behind everything. And the same applies to, changes with, growth, changes with loss. Everything counts for something. And the more you go through and the more times you have to start over, the more you become who you were always meant to become. You are who you are, and you will always be who you are. But at the same time, there's beauty in growing. You may be a beautiful person, but you struggle with insecurity. Maybe this new life lesson, this new direction will help you feel more confident in yourself and your own skin. You might be a very successful career-oriented person, but this season of more social experiences will allow you to open up in new ways and build human connection and help you to feel not so isolated and reliant on work, and help you not to attach your worth to work. And the same goes for the opposite. Maybe you are a social butterfly. Maybe that's where you flourish and where you love to be, but maybe grounding yourself in a career opportunity will help you prioritize your future more. It will give you more ownership of things you can and can't do. And it works in very mysterious, wonderful ways, but it's very difficult to see it in the beginning. And one thing I've known for a very long time is that you will be taught the same lesson over and over again until you learn it, and it will manifest in so many different ways. And until you just accept it and acknowledge what is and learn to move through it and make those hard decisions, even if they are the right ones, the more you grow and the more aligned with your dream and your goal and whatever you become. So basically what I'm trying to say is, feeling lost allows you to start over in the best way possible. It creates so much more space for you to flourish, for you to grow. And that feeling of discomfort is so difficult. I was actually speaking to my family about it, and it was my dad who told me, every time you start over, you're going to feel uncomfortable. But if you don't feel uncomfortable, you're not reaching far enough. And I ate that up. I stood by that because I was like, oh my word, that is so true. What makes you the most uncomfortable and possibly the most, nervous and challenges you in the most unexpected ways will be the thing that takes you to that new level. And that's where, even now, I've had to make a lot of changes in my life that have been so uncomfortable, so difficult, that I question so much. But at the same time, I have peace in knowing that it's going to take me to the right place and that I'm becoming a better person for it. And I've had to challenge myself in so many ways. I've had to work through so many different thought processes and even rewire my mindset and the way that I think about myself and the things that I allow and don't allow myself to do because of certain limiting beliefs. And now I'm really stepping into a place where I just feel free. Like, I still have those nerves. I'm still uncomfortable. I'm still anxious. I'm still, I still have my nights where I cry, when I feel like sad and depressed and all those things. But I really have deep faith. And when you have that hope, cling on to it. And no matter how dark your tunnel may be, or no matter how long you have to walk, the light will always be there. And sometimes you just have to make that way yourself, in the sense of sometimes you have to push yourself to do things that are hard and push yourself to do things that challenge you to the max. But it'll all be worth it in the end. And on the other side of all that fear and all that unknown that you're so terrified of and resisting is the best thing that could ever happen to you. And it's really hard to go by blind, childlike faith, but it is so important and single-handedly the thing that has got me to where I am today. And I will continue to trust that. If you're going through a season of feeling really lost or feeling down or whatever it may be, you're definitely not alone. We're all experiencing it in some way at some point in our lives. And you're not crazy for feeling the way you do, but don't let it limit you. Don't underestimate the power that you have in your own life and the capability you have in your own life, because it is not until you go through those experiences that you will know truly how capable you are. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. And I hope that you go into the next week, next month, tomorrow with the confidence that you, the same person who has got you to where you are now, will get you through the rest. If this episode resonated with you, send it to someone who might need it too. Always remember, your story matters. It was never meant to shrink, and no matter how different your circumstances are, no matter the struggle you have faced or are currently facing, you are and have always been born complete. Until next time, keep growing, keep becoming, and I'll see you in the next episode.